I believe we are live. I'm just getting my notes organized here. I am so excited for this week. You guys, you know that my goal here is to make sure that I'm giving you, we'll call it weapons or tools or whatever word you want to use, that is really going to help you move your business forward. And this week, I'm going to say this week is a doozy. It's a doozy. I'm excited for you to be here. This week, you are getting one irresistible human connection tool. That's kind of a big mouthful, but this is a human connection tool that's going to help you sell more art. If you watched last week's, if you have not watched last week's, I recommend you go back and watch it. But we were talking about leads, and we were talking about the 5 things we need in our sales system, the entire sales system that makes us sell more, right? It's not just about one thing. Hey, Marla, great to see you. It's about how the system and strategy of things we do all work together, integrate together to help us reach our goals. So, one of those tools that I'm going to talk about today is being able to make authentic connections, right? So last week we talked about leads. Before that, we talked about, a system and a strategy. Before that, we talked about mindset. We are moving up to how do you make authentic connections? We need to be making human connections that magnetize our audience. There's Judy. Great to see you. Because I want you to be able to stop dealing with the challenges that you're struggling with when it comes to making sales, whether it's when you post and you put your content out there on social media, maybe you're still getting crickets, or maybe you're just needing more people to find you. Like, you need more exposure, you need more content that magnetizes people to you. Or if you're like me, I was getting lots of hearts and likes and compliments, but they just kind of ended with me saying thank you. I didn't know how to transition that into a conversation that where I actually sold my products. So it doesn't matter. Hi, Pat. It does not matter whether you are selling art, whether you're selling real estate, whether you're selling cars, whether you're selling something like washing machines. It doesn't matter what you're selling. The principles are always the same. That's why here you're getting the sales psychology advantage. The sales psychology advantage is what's going to let you sell without selling. So let's break that down so you know really what I'm talking about here. That doesn't mean anything, right? You're like, okay, Shauna, sales psychology advantage. What is that? Well, we're going to break that down for you. Yay. So today, yeah, I want you to be able to have the tool that you need to be able to sell more art than you ever thought possible, and be able to raise your prices so that you can hit that 6-figure mark. And you're going to have a chance to take home my Become a Human Magnet 7-step framework download, right? It's a guide. So if that sounds good to you, I want you to say yes in the chat if you think you could benefit from becoming a human magnet. If you think that may help you sell more of your product, I want you to say me or yes, 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 yes. Because I think you're all here because you need more from your business. So, okay. I'm Shauna St. James. I am the founder of Mega Selling Artist and Summit Seekers. And really, what we do here is we help artists and creative business owners raise their prices and earn 6 figures without feeling like a pushy salesy freak, right? Without being that pushy sales freak, so that you can really thrive and share your gifts with the world. Really thrive by sharing your gifts with the world, right? Because you deserve that. You deserve it. So I want to say welcome. We have a lot of new members this week. So first of all, welcome to our new members. And welcome back to our repeating members. Say hello as you're signing in here. Say hello so that I know that you are here. If you're watching in this in replay, and I have messaged many of you, I know that you have other things going on during the day. And also, some of you are across the world. We have some people in Australia, obviously, they're in bed right now. So if you're watching in this in replay, type hashtag replay so I knew you were able to get this content. You've got an amazing product. Let's go back there. You have an amazing product, and we want to get that in as many people's hands as possible because your product can change people's lives. It can make their lives better, but we can only do that if we have access to more people and we can attract more people. So if you're struggling to get your art into more people's homes, more people's hands, more people's spaces, or whatever product it is that you're selling. Maybe it's not visual art, maybe it's another product. If you're struggling, I really want to share that experience with you. So I would like you to type one word in the chat that describes how you feel about the struggle that you're experiencing right now with your business, with meeting your sales goals, right? Are you frustrated? Are you exhausted? Are you burnt out? Are you kind of angry and bitter? I know for a while I went through that where I was just like, yeah, this is stupid. People just want stuff cheap or free. Another one was like, I'm never going to really make this work. If you are having those kinds of feelings or thoughts, I want you to share them with us. This is the place, this is the community where you can come and share those things. This is a private community, right? I do that on purpose because we're here to support each other. We're here to be honest about what we need. And sometimes honesty, like when we have to be vulnerable, it doesn't feel good. We don't feel safe. So I want you to know that this is a safe place because we've made this a private place and a community to support each other. Pat, thank you for sharing. Exasperated. Yeah. Like if you've been doing this for a while, for those of you who have been out here and you've been working this for years, right? Even if you've only been working this for a few months, when you run into these struggles, it can be very frustrating. And I want to change that. I want to change that today. So today you're getting the one tool that's going to help you be more successful. It's going to help you sell more. And more importantly, raise your prices because I really want you to be able to sell more and work less. Let's sell more, put money in the bank, put more money in the bank and work less. Woo! Without feeling like we're being salesy. Okay. So here it is. This is it. We're just going for it. If you want to sell more, the secret weapon, the sales psychology advantage tool that is so powerful, more powerful. I'm going to give you some stats here than anything you can imagine. Hello, Janice, is stories. Stories. And you're like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. We're going to walk through it. Hang in there with me. I'm actually going to give you five different aspects of why stories work and what they do for you. So here's a quote from Seth Godin. He is one of the world famous top marketers and entrepreneurs. He's also a best-selling author. If you want to read some great marketing books and marketing content, I'll call them they're kind of easy reads. They're not super technical. I have some that are super technical because they're like, college textbooks. But he writes a lot of great marketing content that is easy for you to process and digest. Seth Godin, Godin. But one of his quotes that I love is, marketing is no longer about the stuff that you make, but about the stories you tell. Oh, think about that. How many of us think that our product is the most important thing out there? Don't get me wrong. Our product is important, but it's the stories that we tell that are more important than our actual thing that we make. Okay. So why do you need to be an excellent storyteller? If stories are that powerful, why? Why is this going to be helpful to us? So I have so many statistics here because I really want to make this, I want to impress upon you the importance of using stories. So let me go through these. I actually had to write them down because there's no way I can remember all of these. So in a search engine watch study, when you use stories, when you incorporate stories or you infuse your sales copy or your conversations with stories, you can boost your sales easily by 30%. 30% was the minimum. I've actually read some studies where it increases up to 60%. So just think about that. What if you could sell 30% more just by changing what you said? Not working harder, not working more, just changing how you talk to people, how you promote, how you market. Another one, Headstream in 20, these are all 2023. Make when people are listening to stories, it makes people 55% more likely to buy from you in the future. So even if they haven't made that decision right now to buy, they're 55% more likely to come back to you and purchase when they're ready to purchase. 92% of consumers, this is from Sprout Social, 90% of consumers want brands to make ads that feel like a story. Now think of when you start watching TV and you start watching ads and commercials by the big, huge, big companies. I want you to pay attention to how they build stories into their marketing. One of my favorite ones recently, they're advertising a beer. I can't remember which beer, but everybody's in the bar. They're showing the beer bottle, they're showing the beer going, but everybody's in the bar and they're singing Sweet Caroline. You know how everybody kind of gets into it, ba, ba, ba. Like everybody, that they put a story with their product. Super powerful. Okay, 55% of consumers are more likely to remember a story than a list of facts. That's a lot. 68% of consumers say that brand stories influence their purchasing decisions. That's almost 70%, meaning stories influence them 70% about who they're going to support, what product they're going to buy. Companies with compelling brand stories have a 20% increase in customer loyalty. And 60% of consumers make a purchase after watching a branded social media video. Oh, there we go. Of course, you know that I do the Video Pro Challenge. If that is something that you want to talk about later, message me and I can tell you how you can register for that, because I am a big believer in videos. I'm a big believer in getting in front of your social media, standing out here in front of whatever it is you produce, because you are part of your product. I'll get off that soapbox, but anyway, those are from Sprout Social. Plenty of stats. I know you're kind of like, oh my gosh, okay, well, what do I do with all that? Well, here's why I want you to understand the power of stories. I'll give you this example. So I first really understood and started to recognize the power of story. This was back in 2012, and I was a recently divorced single mom of 3 kids, and I knew I needed to make some money. I wasn't going to be able to survive on just, the settlement I knew that I needed to have some extra income. And I also knew that I was emotionally burnt out of for so many reasons. I needed to have something that I did that made me money that was also fulfilling. I couldn't just go find another job that was just going to drain me and take things away from me. I had to find a job that fed my soul as well as earning money. So a lovely person, actually gave me a ticket to attend a workshop. It was out in San Diego. So the workshop, everything was free. All I had to do was get there and pay for my lodging. And this ticket, it was like a $2,000 conference. It was a big deal at the time that someone gave me this gift. And so I headed out there to go to this conference. Now, keep in mind, before this, all I'd been doing is I was teaching art classes. I'd been teaching for 2 or 3 years in a private painting studio, right, at an art studio. So I was teaching people how to paint, do acrylics. So I knew that I had something that I enjoyed. I didn't really know how to monetize it, yada, yada. So I attended this conference, Find Your Purpose. Brendan Burchard. If any of you are not familiar with Brendan Burchard, I suggest that you start following him. I have really learned so much from so many mentors. He was one of them. I worked with him for 2 years. So if you ever want to know where some of the stuff that you're getting is coming from, there it is. Brendan Burchard is one of them, just one of the few, one of the many. So he told his story. He stood up and told his story. This whole conference is about finding your purpose and being able to find a way to find your purpose and be able to provide an income. So that's kind of the premise of his whole thing. So he stands up, he tells his story about how he was kind of a loser. He hadn't done anything really meaningful in his life. He was struggling. He had his girlfriend and they were going in debt, and he got in a really severe car accident in Mexico. And of course, the way he tells the story, I won't drag it out because he's very descriptive when he's telling the story, but he almost died in this accident. To make a long story short, his thought immediately when he is feeling himself bleed out is, did I matter? Did I do anything in this world that mattered? Did I make a difference? So this really meant a lot for me. One of my core values is making a difference. This connected with me deeply. To me, that's one of my biggest purposes on earth, is to make a difference. And you can see I'm pouring that into you. I'm pouring that into you all. But finding that purpose, like when he came back and he had to reevaluate who he was, what he wanted to do with his life, finding that purpose completely transformed his life. It changed his trajectory. Of course, when I'm meeting him, he's standing in a big conference full of literally 3,000 people paid to attend this conference. And he's talking about how, now he's a millionaire because he was able to find his purpose. He authored a book, he kind of ran through his whole story. So as soon as he did this, he said, this is what I want to help you do. I want to help you have the same experience. Hundreds of people got up from their chairs and ran to the back of the room to get in line to buy his training program. That's how powerful the story was. He didn't sell to them. He was just simply sharing his story and how his story could help them. Boom. Transformation. His transformation was helping other people transform. So let's talk about, why do stories increase sales? 5. I want you to go 5 reasons why you want to learn to use stories, because they're going to help you change your world and increase your sales. So number 1, here's how story works. Number 1, you know that I'm a neuroscience geek. If you are new here, you probably don't know that, but you'll learn that. The neuroscience behind how humans behave and think and take action is fascinating to me. And I want you to be able to leverage that so that you can have the business that you've always dreamed of. All right. Number 1, stories increase neural activity. What does that mean? Well, when someone is just presenting you facts. So remember, I gave you that percentage of facts, 68%, 55%. That only lights up 2 parts of your brain, 2 parts. It lights up your language processing and your language comprehension. So if they had something hooked up to your brain and they were showing all the electrical impulses that were going on, only 2 parts of your brain are lighting up. When someone hears a story, when someone listens to stories, this is the way we're wired as humans, 12 parts of your brain are lighting up. That's how many parts of your brain a story touches. We're wired as humans to connect with stories. So it also changes our neurochemistry. I love this stuff. Can't help it. Neurochemistry. Okay, well, I'm just going to give you one of the changes. There are a whole bunch, but the most important one is that when we are listening to a very well-crafted story, we immediately have a release of oxytocin. Oxytocin is the neurochemical that helps us feel connected. It actually gives us a rush also of dopamine. It's the love hormone. It's the love neurochemical that pops into our system. So if we tell stories that produce oxytocin in our buyers, then we are connecting with them on a deep level. We are creating really deep, strong bonds with them because we're building empathy, right? So one of the artists that I worked with, she was struggling with some health challenges, some mental health challenge. She was very self-conscious about it. And I suggested that we open up, that we be a little bit vulnerable about that. And so when she did one of her launches where she was out there virtually, which is one of the things I like to teach you how to do, she shared a little bit of her story. And she sold more during that event, during that online sales event than she ever had before, because she was using the power of story, right? It wasn't about making people feel sorry for her. Of course, there's a way we can tell a story that can really be about getting sympathy. And that wasn't her goal. Her goal was to connect with people emotionally. And once she did that, she was triggering all these things in people and she increased her sales. Not manipulating, just being honest. Number 3, it motivates action. Stories motivate action. So a persuasive story is proven 55% more people are willing to take action when they're emotionally involved in a story and you make them an offer, right? Especially like, let's say you're supporting a cause, right? And then you're like, okay, well, if you want this, then, if you do this, then this is going to happen. Those are the kinds of things that people will really connect with. People are going to remember you. You are so much more memorable. What is the power of being memorable? That means that when someone is ready to buy a piece of art, say they're not ready at this moment to buy that house or that art or that car or that piece of jewelry, if that's what you're making. But when they are ready, they are 55% more likely to remember you than anyone else. And that retention rate jumps to 65 to 70% when that story is emotional, involves them emotionally. Okay, here's the last one. Number 5, stories are going to help you raise your prices. So a story, a journalist, his name is Robert Walker. He worked with a writer, John Glenn, to do this study, and they wrote a book about it, yada, yada. But here's what they learned. Storytelling, this is proven, increases the value of your product by 2,700%. Now, I won't go into all the ways they measured this, but think about that. Think whatever price you're selling your product now, if when you were able to connect it with a story, you could increase your price by 2,700%. That would change your world. That would change your world. So I want you to think about how much time that would save you, how much less work you would have to do if you were able to increase your prices. You're still doing the same amount of work, but you're making a lot more money, or less work and making more money even. Right? So I want you to stop here for a minute and let's evaluate some stuff. Let's put some stuff in our heads. I want you to evaluate your storytelling skills right now. This is the part that always made me uncomfortable. Like, oh yeah, that's all great. But then I had to apply it. So is this missing from your sales system? On a scale of 1 to 4, I want you to rate yourself. Do you have stories that motivate your customers to purchase? Do you know what makes a good story? Do you know the framework that makes a story compelling? Like how you tell a story, the order you give the information. On a scale of 1 to 4, yes, I absolutely have this. This is one of my big strengths in my business, in my sales system. Or 1, no, not even close, Shauna. This is something is really like out of my hands. I don't know how to do this. Go ahead and put that in the chat. Woohoo! Art marketing workshop and learning the storytelling techniques. Excellent. Excellent. These are the things that we are learning. If you work with me, I'll be honest, if you work with me. Okay, so here's where I see most artists get stuck. A lot of times it feels very vulnerable admitting, yeah, no, I don't. A lot of artists think that they don't have a story that's worth telling. Like they don't think they even have a story. I guarantee you do. Now, this is something that it takes a while to work on. It's not something that automatically pops out. You're like, oh, I know what story I'll tell. Sometimes we have to really, it's all individual, of course, and we have to really examine our life and go through every little thing to break down how we can make that story, our story, relate to our products. I know how just can't relate it to your product. Yes, that was me. Like, yeah, I had a story, but I couldn't figure out how to relate it to my product. It's a skill, it's a nuance, and it's something that you do have to prepare ahead of time. It usually doesn't just come naturally. All right. So if that's you, I want to talk to you. If you're one of the people that's like, yeah, I really don't get the story thing, Shauna, I want you to put in #talk, and I'll reach out to you and we'll set up a complimentary Zoom call when we can kind of talk about this and talk about how we can help you build that, develop that. All right, so who wants to be a better storyteller after this? I hope all of you are saying, yes, me. You absolutely want to be a better storyteller. So here's what I've got for you. I have a complimentary guide for you. Become a Human Magnet 7-step framework. It's going to give you a framework so that you can create stories that are going to help you magnetize your audience. If you want that, I want you to do #magnet in the chat. Sorry, I need something to drink. My voices. #magnet in the chat if you would like the Human Magnet 7-step framework. Now, I'll be honest, you guys, I haven't even really written this all out yet. I know it. So I'm going to have to actually create it before I send it to you. So don't panic if you don't get it today. It's going to take me a couple days to get this worked up for you and build it. I've really spent a lot of time creating this today and really outlining what I want in that 7-step framework for you. So I have not actually created the physical PDF. As soon as I do that, you will get that. So #magnet, I will add you to my list of people and make sure you get this. All right. Thank you for being here. For those of you who are new, if you're watching this and you're new to the group, you're going to be getting a message from me, a welcome message. I want to make sure that you're getting the biggest value out of the group. So I will be reaching out to you. Welcome. We're so glad you're here. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.